Today I'm joined by Cam Richardson. And how old are you, Cam?
15.
15. Awesome. And how long you been riding a dirt bike or trials?
I've been riding since I was 2.5, dirt bikes for like 7 years, and trials for about 5. So started when I was 2.5.
That's awesome. Life on two wheels, huh? That's
Yeah.
great. What's your favorite part about riding trials?
Just the atmosphere, the people, and you just getting together, riding with your friends, and I just really like the overall atmosphere of trials. It's just really fun for me, and I
Yeah.
really enjoy. And I like to challenge myself a lot too. So
So how did you get started riding trials?
we went to airplane show Red Bull up in Indianapolis, the Motor Speedway, and we saw Jeff Aaron on his gas performing on one of like the stunt trailers for trials. And
Yeah.
we, like my dad always like when he sees a new bike, he always wants one, and he was like, "I gotta have one of those," and that's how we started about 5 years ago.
Inspired by Jeff Aaron. What a great way to get started. The subject I want to talk about, actually, I'll tell you a quick story. Charlie, a guy that I ride with, was competing against you in the advanced line, and you guys were kind of similar in skill level, even though he's been riding for a lot longer. He's a much older, mature rider, and you were hopping around some of these turns. And when he was telling me, he was like, and then young Cam, he's just like hopping around these turns, and I think you beat him that day, and he was a little frustrated because of the advantage that you had in hopping. So I want to talk about that as a skill because I think a lot of the viewers that I have are really going to relate to learning that skill or trying to learn that skill, and that's something that you've really grown in recently. So how long have you been trying to hop the bike?
I've been trying to hop the bike for at least I say a good year and a half. Ever since actually I got my TRS back there. If you can see, I don't know if you can see or not, but
Do you have to adjust the suspension at all for it to be able to perform for you?
everything's all stock on the suspension. Nothing. We haven't changed nothing. So
You didn't even tweak the levers at all, the compression, the rebound, any of that, the clickers?
not none of the suspension. No, all the suspension is stock. But yeah,
And Cam, what do you weigh?
uh, 145.
Okay. Yeah. So I think they build most of these bikes for someone who's around 150 to 170. So I'm 200 pounds. So I definitely had to make some adjustments to the rebound and stuff. And I'll tell you for myself, I was making adjustments to the suspension to try and make up for my skill level. And so when I couldn't hop, I was like, oh, I'll just tweak around on all this. And that was like a disaster because then I couldn't even ride and the front wheel was washing out and stuff like that. So I think that's a common thing that people try to make up for a lack of skill, thinking they need to, adjust the spring rate or something like that. But it does help to have it dialed once you know how to perform the skill, but it's not the answer. It's technique, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right on. So, when you started learning how to hop, what did you do? What were some practice things, or how did you acquire that skill?
I just started like hopping in my garage, without the engine on and everything, just trying to hop in the whole 90 degrees. And then in our backyard, we have a little bit of area to play in our backyard, a little bit of hills. And I was trying to hop on the hills, see how far I can hop without, messing up, doing correction hops. And it just all started from there and just kept going and going and going until where I am right now today. And hopefully I still can improve.
Did you start using a hopping skill in events right away, or was it something you slowly incorporated?
No, because I was scared if I tried to hop in events, I'd mess up and I would try to pogo it out and by hopping a lot and I'll just mess up. So I just tried one hop and then if I didn't get it, I would just put my foot down, swing the bike over and everything because I was too worried about messing up or even stalling the bike too because you got to be able not to stall the bike, hop, hold the clutch in. It's just really just a time thing. You just learn it as it comes on.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Now, when we're talking about hopping, there's front wheel hops and rear wheel hops. When you're doing a front wheel hop, are you using any like popping the clutch, any of the engine, or are you just using your body to get that front wheel up?
Sometimes I actually do use the clutch and everything to pop because like time the third, fourth loop comes around, I'm getting really tired and I don't have the best stamina, so I use the clutch a lot sometimes to pop around. Not real big, just slip in and a little bit of pop. But then usually I don't usually clutch that hop usually.
When you're like walking a section at an event and you're trying to decide, all right, am I going to turn this or I'm going to hop this? Like what goes through your head? Do you decide to hop ahead of time or does it just kind of come out when it needs to?
I don't try to hop if I don't need to, but if I need to hop, I'll hop. It's just a matter of timing and getting into that section and then everything looks different once you get in there on a bike rather than walking it.
I remember talking to Corey Tope, and I was telling him I was trying to incorporate hops into my section riding. And he said, well, you want to plan it out ahead of time. And he did a great job telling me, like, if you're going to go a rear wheel hop, is this your good side or your bad side? And I was like, dude, I'm trying to work on both of them. He's like, okay, well, make sure you find a spot where your front tire is not going to push or wash away as you're planning for that rear wheel hop. So he pointed out a little divot in the ground. He said, you'll get really good traction right there in order to hop the back end around. And that was just really helpful to kind of plan it ahead of time. And that way I knew, if I hop the rear tire around, the rear isn't going to go like outside the ribbon, but I'm going to have enough space. Yeah.
I just really try to watch where I go, and I'm really focused in events. I don't know if you can tell or not, but I really like being competitive, and I don't hop if I don't have to hop.
Right.
I like hopping.
Right.
Fun.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people try to even learn hopping before they're ready. They see it as something that looks cool. Everyone's doing it on Instagram, and it's the cool, sexy part of trial. And so they're trying to hop, and the youngsters are all hopping, but then they don't perfect their turns. They don't work on the clutch slip and getting good balance for sure.
That's the thing I got to work on is my turns, because I think I can hop, and then what happens when the day comes I can't hop no more, and I'm not gonna be able to turn because I've hopped. So I got to start practicing my turns too. I can't leave that out. I got to do my turns and hop. So
That's right. That's right. So do you think like hopping can be overdone?
yes, I've done that so many times. It sucks. Sucks.
So what happens then?
You're doing it so good, and you overhop, and then your tire goes out of the ribbon. I did that in Southington. I was just on flat ground. I hopped, my hand slipped off the clutch. It was like I think it was third loop in the pouring down rain Sunday, and my hand slipped off the clutch. It went off the rear brake, right over the ribbon. Got a 5. But you just gotta take it slowly. Don't overdo it like I do try to do sometimes. Like you have to let the suspension compress, and sometimes I get wild, and there goes that.
Yeah. It's also incredibly tiring. You're a young 15-year-old. I'm 42, and a lot of my viewers are like between 40 and 60-year-old guys, and so trying to hop a bunch is just very fatiguing. So I think definitely not one to overdo it in a section and wear yourself out.
I don't see how the pros do it like Sam. I don't see how they do that. It has to be so tiring. A 4 loop, 3 loops, national. The hardest sections you'll see, no, there's no way. But they do it. That's hard.
Yeah, they probably are training for it. There's definitely a lot of things they're probably doing, whether it's jumping rope or on a trials push bike, or I even sometimes, like if it's raining and I don't really want to ride in the mud, I'll just go under my carport and just practice hopping a bunch and just wear myself out. I tell my wife it's like I'm going to jump rope with a 150-pound jump rope. It's exhausting. I would say probably don't learn to try to hop in the peak of the summer too. Like if you can learn it in the fall or winter when you're not going to overheat, that's probably good. What kind of errors do you see that you make when you're hopping, or do you see other people make? Any specific things that you think tends to happen?
I tend, like I said earlier, I try to overhop and overdo everything, and I pogo, and that's where I'm out of control, and I just mess up, go too fast, and like it actually happened to me at the nationals, youth nationals a couple weeks ago. I was hopping, mid overcorrect, kept trying to pogo to get out of it, and I just hit a roll on a rock, 5'd it, and
Hmm.
just slid. It was on flat ground too, slow roller, and I slid because I was out of control, and it sucks. It really sucks.
So when you say pogo, you just mean like you're going too fast on the front?
Go or like both tires like really fast, like it's out of control, like I do sometimes, and it really messes me up. And yeah,
What advice do you have for other people who are thinking of learning to hop?
just take it slow and try to watch YouTube videos. But YouTube videos don't really help me. I just I'm kind of a physical learner. Right there, one on one. If I see someone trying to hop, I'll go over there and try to do a hop or two, and then it's gotta let this go into place. It's gotta let it fall in. You can't just expect it to happen overnight. Really, it's a timing process. It takes a while. You can't just, like I said, do it overnight.
Yeah, I think that's good, man. Setting realistic expectations for saying, okay, in the next year, I'm going to learn
Hmm.
to hop as opposed to this session. And
Yeah.
that was a really good point about just going up to another rider and saying, "Hey, watch me. Like, what do you see that I need to do?" Because it's that feedback in the moment rather than watching a video that is so valuable. And the trials community is always willing to say, "Oh, do this or do that," even if they don't know how to hop. They'll still give you advice on what you're doing wrong usually. So I've seen some of your practice riding videos. Any drills or games that you like to do to practice or work on, front wheel hops or rear wheel hops?
Uh, I like to just go out, we ride out at Bloomington, and I like to just make sections harder. Actually, my minder Bob Sturgeon, who minded me for the Nationals, CTC, he usually sets up sections for me, and he's like, "Cam, go over this, try this," and he'll set up sections that he knows are a little bit higher than my thing, like expert TI, a little bit of champ TI, and I may not clean it, I may get a 5, but he really pushes me, and it really helps. Tighter turns, more hopping, and more brake control. He really helps me. That's what I like to do. And then like the slow game, like we do follow the leader a lot too. Like someone does this line, and like, oh, I'm not gonna do that, and like it really helps. Actually, believe it or not, it really does.
So
Yeah.
follow the leader. I get that. What do you mean the slow game? Like they intentionally the first person rides it slower to force
Like
you to go slower?
yeah, like we do like say we do like for 50 feet slow, like we go from here to the end is like 50 feet. Person who reaches the line at the end first is like the faster person. We're trying to like balance as long as we can, and like whoever reaches that end of the line is the loser first.
Gotcha. So you could probably do that like on hillsides or in rocky area or just wherever.
Yeah, it's wherever. Really, it's really it's really fun. Just
Yeah,
try it out.
that's a good game. I've played it, but just on the flat. I've never thought about playing it in different terrains.
This little hill climb just like that. It's really fun.
So did you learn to hop the front wheel first and then the rear wheel, or how did that work?
I definitely hopped the railroad first, but it wasn't really anything crazy. It was just like I was just trying to get the rear wheel off the ground by like those 6 inches, and then I definitely hopped the railroad first to have to kick it over, and then I started like uh front hopping like a year and a half ago. Railroad probably about 2.5 years ago maybe. Just a little bit of hopping on the rail,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I found so helpful is on those rear wheel hops, I was always falling to the outside until I learned to put more pressure on the inside handlebar. So if I'm hopping the rear and to the right, I put more weight on the left handlebar and that would kind of counterbalance. And then letting go of the front brake. If you let go of the front brake early so you don't, over rotate, that was a big insight I got, I think, from Ryan Young.
Actually, I need to work on my real hopping. I'm not really good at doing it to the left, but to the right, I can do about maybe 90, 100 degrees if I want.
Cam, I'm excited to talk to you also about a different thing, which is teen camp. What is teen camp and how did you get invited to that?
Team camp is where it's put on by Josh Roper and Nigel Parker and people at the TTC. It's for all the teens, and it's a place where all the teens go and ride at TTC, and they're really there just to get better and everything, and to push people to the limits. I mean, limits.
So when you were at teen camp, did they do like specific skills and different days or sessions, or was it just kind of like free ride around, or how did that go? What was the structure?
we had there was always three captains each day. Like there was like I'd say 15 to 20 of us, and there's three captains. I mean, three of those people went to three different areas to go ride every day. And there was a captain for morning, lunch, and then I think there was one after that too. But it was like free ride, push her to the limits, help people, and then after that we come back like at 11:45. I think it was something like that, noon. Forgot when lunch was, but we would always do a drill. And if you didn't get a drill, you like didn't get dessert that night or something. Like one night it was like jab zap, splatters, bunny hopping, and best trick. It was a blast.
Dude, that sounds cool. If you can't do the drill, you don't get dessert, huh?
Everyone, about everyone every day got dessert because they're like, I want that dessert. It was just like the last day. It was pouring down rain. The last 2 days at the end of the sessions, at the very end of the day, and it was fun. It
Yeah.
really was.
So I bet you got a lot better, right? Just riding with other quality riders in the environment. That was probably a real catalyst to your growth, wouldn't you say?
It really helped me because when I was there, it was like all the good kids, like the best kids, like in that round, like they were all better. And I was like, whoa, how are these kids doing that? And I thought I was a decent rider for my age, in the U.S. And then I got there and I was like, whoa, yeah. It made me feel like I was a novice compared to Champ T. That's those good some of those kids were there. Like, that was impressive. And I honestly had to sit out some of the things, not sit out, but like I sit down a lot, just to watch them. Like, and they would go off and do a big rock, and I was like, I'm gonna watch them how they do this. Of course, I didn't attempt it, but like I just wanted to watch,
Yeah.
And it was really fun.
Yeah. That's good to get a little humility and perspective. And yeah, I think it really depends on who they're training with and how intense they're training, right? Some of those guys that you were looking up to probably have been riding for longer and they're training more intensely with with other skillful riders. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably been to team camp before, right?
Yeah, but like Seth and Sam, like they ride together a lot. Look how they're really good. They ride together a lot, and Sam's pro. Seth's a blue line rider, expert. You know, and like it really depends who you ride with. If you ride with these good people, I mean, you still can be really good, but it really helps. Sam's always over there giving Seth a harder line and everything, and Seth's doing it, and he's getting better and better. It's just it's really helpful, really
Yeah.
helpful a lot.
What would you say is the biggest thing you took away from team camp? Either the biggest moment of learning or technique or just any of that. What was some of the big things you took away?
Splatters. We did so many splatters there. I got like 2 flats because I didn't think I was going to hit stuff this big. I usually run about, just because I'm so light, I usually run about two and a half on a rainy day, 3, 4 on a dry day, like playing around, but event 3. But I only ran 4, and I was hitting these like, it's called an initiation spotter. I don't know if you know what that is or not, but it's at TTC. Every kid hit it there. And that's where I got all my flats and hit a lot of splatters. I love splatters. But yeah, I like splatters.
Splats are a ton of fun. I feel like it's not even that necessary until you get to a much higher level, though. Definitely a fun thing to learn. But are you using a splat technique very often in advanced lines?
No. Mm-mm. It's just fun. It's just fun to do splats. But like you said, you're not using them in advance. Once you get to expert and champ, you're going to start using splats, but not in advance usually.
Yeah,
It's just really, really small splat usually.
yeah. I just love when the bike winds up so high, man. You're revving it out, and there's definitely that thrill factor, like, kind of like riding a roller coaster. It's just like, oh my gosh, and then you're popping the clutch, and you're up so fast.
Yeah, definitely got to use your legs. I've not used my legs a couple times so far, and it didn't go very good. So, no, right into the rock, not good.
Yeah,
No.
that's awesome. Well, Cam, I've enjoyed talking with you. I sure appreciate your time. Is there any final thoughts or sponsors or anyone you want to thank?
I really want to thank my binder, Bob Sturgeon, and my mom and dad for the support and the incredible stuff they gave me and the equipment and everything. But that's all I got.
That's awesome, man. All right. Well, thanks so much for your time.